Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be filming my next project, which is a commission for a Moses basket rocker stand. So I have done one of these previously, but I didn't film it for YouTube. Just lots of reels or shorts. So if you haven't seen it, it's going to be slightly different. There's going to be a few tweaks on measurements just to fit the size of the Moses basket that I've been asked to make it for. But the first step is milling up all this ash to dimension. I mill up the runners, the upstands, the cross braces. Once I've got them milled roughly to size, I'll cut them down and then I'll mill them again once they've settled, just to get to final dimension. So I'm going to run through that now on the planer or jointer. So I'll get it square to 90, then I'll pass it through the thicknesser, and then we'll cut it to the right size, or just a couple of millimeters off the right size on the table saw. So it's a bit of a process, but stay tuned. I'll be a couple of parts to this series. You'll see this pile of lumber go to a lovely ash Moses basket stand. Rocks very slightly. It's going to have some steam bent curves at the ends and lots of mortise and tenon joinery. So thanks for watching, stay tuned. Hope you enjoy. So there you go, I've got everything that I need so far, planed on one face. So now I've got to plane the edge face, the edge of this, to make this a 90 degrees. So what I tend to do is I tend to plane one face, and then I will plane the edge to get it at 90, and then I'll take all the tables off, take the fence off the planer thicknesser, run it through the thicknesser so you get that side planed. Then the final 90 I'll cut on the table saw just for ease. So now I've got these nearly square. We'll just check them with my square. So these are pretty much dead on square at the minute. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark each piece with some lines. And that just means that when I run it through a final pass for 90 degrees, it's just going to give me that visual check that the whole face is planed square. So I do this for each piece, and you'll also notice that I've done these for specific orientation, and that's because of the grain direction. So for instance, this piece, the grain's sort of going that way, and the thicknesser blade is going that way. So if it was that way, it would cause a lot of tear out. So it is just important to have a quick check of the grain direction. It's not always going to be perfect. So for this piece, it's quite figured, so the grain goes everywhere. So I've done it the way that there's going to be the least amount of tear out. So the only tear out I should be getting is up at this section. Right, final pass time. Have a little bit of a sip of tea. Oh, that's better. Right, so all this is at 90 degrees. That is absolutely bang on. I don't know if you can see this, but so that is extremely satisfying. That is what you want. So you start square, hopefully you'll end square. So we'll just check all of these. Oh, lovely. And just look at the figuring on this piece. It's sort of a bit of like olive ash actually. All the grains just highlighted. So I'll have to figure out where I want to use that on a piece. So we're now on to the next stage, which is taking this piece of wood that I planed yesterday to 90 degrees. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it and we're going to take off this top surface, which is really rough, and that will just plane it parallel to the bottom surface. And then once that's all planed through the thicknesser, we can just run it through the table saw and take off that final edge at 90 degrees. So I'm going to whiz through these, get them done, and then we can start chopping some wood with a saw. So because I've done this before, I've got some plans that I'm working through. So I've made myself quite a specific cut list. So I'm going to go through those, get everything cut roughly to size, then I can start cross-cutting to the exact lengths that I need. So these I'm going to cut slightly wider because these are the rockers. They're quite tall. My table saw's not going to cut all the way through these, so cut them in two halves. Cut once, flip, and then pass through again, and then I've left it a little bit thicker so I can run it through the planer again just to smooth any imperfections off. We've now got two rockers, 2, 4, these are going to be the 4 uprights, so they'll be chopped in 2, and these will be the 2 cross braces. So we're now on to the cross-cutting stage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop both ends, or one end square. I'm then going to measure out my distances with this fence. I've added just a little bit of scrap here, so when I push it past that, it doesn't pinch with the blade. So for my 4 uprights, they're all going to be exactly the same length because they've been measured essentially to a stock block. So all 4 of these, because they've been cut to a stock block, should all be exactly the same height. So these are the rockers, which are going to be 80 centimetres or 800 millimetres long. Now my stock block doesn't go that far, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut both ends square, then clamp them together and then run them through as one cut. So after all that planing, sawing yesterday, we've got our basic framework all in nice milled square blocks. So we've got the 2 runners there, we've got the 4 uprights, got the 2 cross braces that will go between these 2 uprights, and then we've got the 4 cross braces that link both sides together. So these are all perfect length. So now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to run them back through the thicknesser just to get them all perfectly thick. So you're joining, say, this bit of wood into that one. There is some slight differences because I left a little bit of room. So it's probably about 1 millimetre each side. This one's thicker. So I'll run them all back through the thicknesser, so when I do join them up together, everything will work nicely. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. The next one will be me going through starting joinery on this piece. Lots of mortise and tenons coming up.